Welcome to the podcast, Eye for Talent, the show where we have an eye for talent. I'm your host, Dylan, aka DJ Cereal Sauce, and even after like 2 years straight, this motherfucker Alec cannot stop laughing when I start any podcast of any kind. What the hell is wrong with you?
I don't know what it is. It's just
the crazy thing is I don't even talk that much differently from how I normally talk off the air. So I don't know why you're doing this to me.
The concept.
You know what? Fuck it. Now nobody gets to know what you do. You're not allowed. First question: how did you get started? No, I'm kidding. I've referenced you many a times in this podcast. So to anybody listening, this is Alec, aka Ill Lovelace, aka the man who is better at my job than I am. Because he is
talking about me.
Yeah. They all love you. They all love you so much. We even have an emote for you now, which you seem particularly upset about.
I don't know if it's upset. I'm just like, I don't know.
I can fully capitulate that we took the joke too far, and I'm okay with that.
I think I took the joke too far.
I mean, you did send us like 3 pictures, but I also spent $25 for the jokes, so like
so much fun.
Anyways. Alec here, he is what I have described as a regular band kid, but also an honors band kid. But also on top of that, after he did that, he did jazz band and he did marching band for a question mark amount of time because I don't know. And also he participated in a trumpet trio, a brass quartet, and also did a handful of solo performances in a question mark amount of competitions because I also forgot to ask about that part. So,
oh, let's not forget about the brass ensemble.
Brass ensemble?
For 2 years in a row, man.
What is that? Okay, now what does that entail? We'll get into the actual meat in a second. What does that entail?
It's just like band, but with only brass.
Oh, that's
it's nothing interesting to
fair enough
to go crazy about.
The most interesting thing about that, in my opinion, is the fact that a brass ensemble to me sounds like hell because in my school we always had a problem of the brass being too loud and brass generally having a really offensive sound. And so like an ensemble of those, I would rip my own ears off before I had to deal with that. But the concept of it actually sounds nice if you're like good at what you do. Do you think you guys sounded good?
I like the way we sound. Like there was obviously it was high school.
Yeah. So
for the most part. So, you always had to deal with the dude or dudette or neither who just didn't want to put in the work. You always have someone like that. But, once we all got on the same page, everybody sounded really well-rounded out. You have the deeper bass treble clef people to help round out the offensive bright sound that trumpets and French horns might produce.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was okay. It was an okay experience. It's not my favorite.
But it's apparently important enough that you brought it up here. So that's I like that. That's nice. Sorry, my questions disappeared right as I tried looking at them. It like disappeared off my desktop. So, I guess, do I have this question here? Oh, I do. I have them back to back. Sorry. I'm not a professional today. I'm trying to figure out how much I can fudge this podcast, given that I'm not trying to impress anybody, because me and Alec have known each other for, I always get this wrong.
12 years.
It's definitely not been 12. Hasn't it been 8? 8 or maybe 9, depending on the months?
8 or 9.
Because I always say we met in 2013, and you're like, you're a little early on that one.
Yeah, no, it's a lot early. Like 2015, like 2015. Let's just say 2015.
We'll say 2015 officially going forward. So 8 years, 7 or 8 years, depending on the months. But given that it's May already, yeah, I'm gonna say 8 years. It doesn't matter. So the only reason that I'm doing this, really, is because I also used to be a band kid, but I played in a completely different sector of the band than you did, and you've evidently done a lot more interesting things than I have. And I want you to know that. So for starters, I want to know, how did you get started playing any instrument of any kind? When did it happen? And like, why?
So long story, all right? We're gonna go way back. Way back. So my father, I don't think I talk about him a lot, like talk about him. But he was a Marine, and I don't really know how this works. As I grow older, I think, and I don't really, know how the Marines function, but I guess they have like a marching band type setting,
Yeah.
and um and that he played the trumpet, and that I would see pictures of that. He has videos that I would watch. Like I had a cassette, not a cassette tape, a VHS thingy, and I would plop that in. I'd see my dad. I'd be like, "That's my dad," and he'd just be going, and and I would see his trumpet around the house that we had in. I wouldn't see it. I knew it was in this case that I have to this day. Like it's
You
over
saw the
there.
case.
And I was like, "Oh my goodness, that thing just has a treasure in there that I want to tap."
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I was always aware of that, and I was at that time I was in that phase of any child's life where there's like I just want to be like my dad, like I want to do live my life exactly like him.
Yeah.
So that's what when uh fourth grade came around, maybe fifth grade, end of fifth grade came around, that's when they would the middle school would start recruiting uh kids for the band classes. And in fourth grade, actually, if you didn't know, I played violin. I should have
Wh-
kept with it and
Why? Why
been
were you
saying.
playing the violin in the 4th grade?
I just They were just like, "We're gonna do this," and I was like, "I want to do this," and I did it for a year, and then my mom forgot to sign me up for the next year, and I literally the next year I walked into that class, and she was like, "Alec, you did not sign up for the class." I was like, "God dang it!" I left with the walk of shame. Uh, but it's all good. It led me to a bigger thing, that being what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But fifth grade rolls around, yes, towards the end, and so they take up the music room because, and I don't know about other elementary schools, but we had like a specific class dedicated to just music,
Yeah. We had
and
the gym. The gym was our
we
practice room.
we had the music room. Forgot that teacher's name, but yeah, they took over that. They had a bunch of instruments just laid out, and they would give us a slip of paper, and we would walk and just test out each instrument.
Oh.
Yeah, and all of the teachers that I grew up with were there. Not I grew up with, but that I would soon grow up with were there. And I went through all of them, and I was already keen on the trumpet because of obviously my father's. And that teacher, her name is Miss Schinberger, Jennifer Schinberger, the GOAT, the most
Is she German?
intimidating lady. I have no clue. I would not be surprised. But the most intimidating lady you would ever meet in like a classroom setting, to be more specific. But
Like
outside,
most
she's
intimidating in a classroom setting when you were a 4th grader, or like even to this day you're like,
no, she was like if you were never in her classes, you'd be like, this is like the sweetest, nicest lady on the planet. And she was sweet and nice. She just knew how to be firm. Like
how to get
you're
stuff
gonna
done.
respect me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's my turn to play the trumpet, and I had already known. I had been practicing like the kind of technique that you have to have your lips in. Because it's a similar thing with flutes.
I don't
I had been
As a person who has never played the trumpet, I don't know. I don't think that's true cuz you have to like
No, I mean the concept of like a technique, like the the technique of putting your lips in a certain position to play an
Oh,
instrument,
okay. Well, yeah, yeah.
not that.
The concept of having to do it, but yeah, they both do them different ways. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had been practicing that for like that whole year, and that's probably why what happens next happened. But they're just like, blow into it. You got this. And I blow, and I make the loudest, most horrid sound that a- any trumpet player has ever done in their life. And they were like all of the teachers turn around and they just stare at me wide-eyed. And then the music teacher, she runs down the hall, busting out the door, and it's like, who the heck was that? And she sees me there, and I'm just there wide-eyed. I was like, what? That was a loud sound. And they were like, oh my goodness, this is your instrument. Like,
you just be looking around. You'd be like, who
never
made
has
that
that
noise?
happened. And on that sheet of paper that they would give to the students, they would use like a minus or a check or a check plus to kind of see. At the end of the day, you pick what you play, but like that's just, it shows you what they think you are particularly good at.
Yeah.
And she looks at me, Miss Schenberger, that is. She looks at me and is like, I'm giving you a check plus plus. Like, I really want you to play this. And that fed my little ego so much. I was like, oh my God, I just walked in here. I just blew on this horn. She just gave me a grade, a score that wasn't even on there. She check plus plus, like, yeah. So that's after that, my dad was like, I'm gonna give you my trumpet. And he gave me that trumpet, and I fiddled around with it. I didn't know what I was doing until the next year when they started teaching me, but that's how I got into band.
Huh. Okay. That's. I
I
don't
even
even
have a
know what to.
picture.
I don't even know what to say. Like I didn't know that anybody. Well, you might have mentioned this to me before, but I didn't know that anybody in your family like did anything of that caliber at all. Because
Mom played the clarinet, dad trumpet, aunt clarinet.
yeah, I'm not surprised. I don't know your mom, but based on what I do know about her, I'm not like
She's a
surprised.
clarinet. She looks like a clarinet.
I
Clarinet player, I should
was about to
say.
say, I was like, what do
She
you mean
doesn't look
she
like a
looks like
clarinet.
a clarinet? What the hell does that mean? But no, I think this is making me realize that there's only a couple of people that I've talked to that play an instrument at all, and all of their experiences have just been like, yeah, I got it from my family members. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. Like, I don't know that many people, but like the only exception that I can think of would be a person whose name I can't drop on here because I don't know what his history with the trumpet was. This ain't got nothing to do with them. But
It's a good like motivational tool, that being like a kid who just wants to be like their parent or relative or family friend. Like, that one thing drove me from 6th grade to and beyond with the instruments. I just was really passionate about it. I was like, I'm so good at this. And it also is in turn kind of fed my ego. Like, I so got a superiority complex because of this that I later lost.
because you stopped playing.
No, because people have picked up on it and they were like, that's not cool. And I was like, you know what? That actually is true. I need to stay humble.
You're like, I need to get something like not so like campy, I guess.
Yeah, and and later on you'll hear of how the things I sacrificed to maintain that humble status.
All right, fair enough. The next question that I had on here was how long you've been playing the trumpet, but the answer is since the 5th or 6th grade ish. And then so that's just toss that shit out the window. You've mentioned this to me before, but I have since forgotten. What other instruments are you looking at getting into at all?
Well, we're gonna exclude the obvious ones, that being the piano and the guitar that I have right behind me that I have yet to actually even touch.
Yeah.
Because one of them is missing a freaking string, and the other one is I don't even know. And
And the other one is a
it's
piano.
yeah, it's funny. I actually I bought a piano. Like, I didn't buy it, but there was somebody who was giving away their piano because eBay people are like, "Oh, we're moving. I'm gonna get rid of this." I
Yeah.
was like, "Cool." I freaking bought it. I had the people drop it off, and it was just in the house. And my parents were just like, "No," and so we sold it. So we sold it. But no, like, other than that, other those two, like, immediately after high school, I was like, like saxophone, and specifically Barry sax,
Yeah.
because I'm so in love with the chocolatey, deep sounds of instruments, and that I was like, oh, I gotta have that. Like that'll really pull the hose for
Yeah,
real.
that'll get us out the hood.
Yes, and so definitely a saxophone, and I didn't even have to start with the
Saxophone, more like
Barry sax.
saxophone, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I didn't have to start with that. I would have been fine with an alto sax too.
But that's the end game.
Yeah, but that was definitely. I was like, I was gonna learn the basics on the alto sax and then immediately go to the Barry sax. Heck, I might even after this go just impulse buy a Barry
I
sax.
wouldn't advise doing that. Those things are very expensive.
Whatever. Uh,
Whatever.
but that, and then in turn, because if you learn a saxophone, you know how to play a clarinet. They operate on the exact same
Everything.
everything. So I was like, so I might as well pick up the clarinet because I do like how some clarinets sound as well. And if you know how to play the clarinet with a specific attachment, then you know how to play the bassoon. But I never wanted to play the bassoon.
Yeah, the bassoon, the clarinet, and the oboe to me are for nerds.
Oh, they're such odd instruments, and
There's
I
yeah.
think in a like an orchestra setting they work fine, but by themselves, I'm like,
I'm like,
these
why?
are just. But the people who, yeah, somebody, any oboe players that are also listeners, y'all should like freaking drop some of your fire heat oboe solos so I can listen to that and eat my words. But God, I love that instrument, and the bassoon is so wacky. It's just like a tube. But
You
other than
can
that, saxophone,
generalize the majority of instruments to just being a tube
yeah,
or a
that is
pipe.
true. But this one, yeah, and I say it's a pipe tube. It's
Yeah.
a big wooden pipe tube with a funny mouthpiece
Yeah.
that has to stay in water. Ugh.
Ew.
Yeah, stay moist, or else they got to be buying them. Those. Besides the point. Other than that, I think I expressed to you trombone. I think that is such a wacky instrument. And aside from that, like if anybody wants to know, like a person who really made me want to play the trombone is Trombone Shorty. I'm pretty sure his name is. He does. He does. He is absolutely one of the best trombonists. That might not be his name.
You know, trombone shorty. I mean, he looks like a person you would look up to.
Trombone. He like if you would ever just hear him, you'd be mesmerized. You'd be like, I didn't even know the
This
trombone
motherfucker
could
got a
do some of these
website and
things.
he has a new album that dropped April 29th.
Yes, he is just absolutely one of the best trombone jazz players out there. That like actually, makes use of it. Also, he's from, Nolans. So makes even more sense. But like again, back to like a chocolatey sound, like the trombone can do that. And I think more often than not, it's used as like comedic relief or just to create those odd like in those songs, those pieces that are trying to capture the wacky and odd sounds. They put the trombones on the forefront when I think the trombone can be used for so much more. And I was like, honestly, trombone is probably at the top of my list. It's just one of those instruments where it's just like kind of odd to get into, but if when you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah. To be totally honest with you, when you brought up the trombone and you were talking about your influences, I was dead ass expecting you to say that guy that followed fat people around the Walmart with the trombone.
I do not endorse doing that, but it did make me laugh. But no, there's a few instruments, a few more. I got my hands on a few other different types of trumpets. Like I've never played a cornet, but it's just a trumpet. I played piccolo trumpet. That has a brighter sound, 4 valves. Interesting. It's an interesting instrument to say the least. Uh, what else? There was another trumpet. It was a big trumpet. I liked it and played a cool solo one one day for a judge, and he was like, "I didn't like the solo," and I was like, "I don't like you." Um, And everybody else on the band was like, yeah, he's full of crap. It's like, thank you guys.
Always there to
And
support me.
French horn, French horn, French horn is widely considered to be like one of the hardest instruments to learn. Instruments, brass related. I don't know about all the other ones, uh, but when you do know how to learn it, and you get into some of these slow melodic sounds or songs, it it is probably up there and like one of my favorite sounding instruments. It just requires a lot of different mechanics to learn to get into it. But I just love the large the whale like bellow of the French horn. It's amazing. I'm gonna send you a song later, and you gonna listen to that song because that song great. It has like this French horn in it that's made me absolutely cream.
I will
I don't know
listen
what
to
else.
any song that anybody sends me. I cannot guarantee that I'll finish it, but I'll listen to it.
Yeah,
So I'll take
cool.
you at your word for that. So that's fair. Um, what I'm learning from this
I-
is that you really enjoy brass.
yeah,
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
yeah.
Fair enough. What is a favorite song of yours that you've ever played? Whether it was scripted for band purposes, whether it was off script like at your home or anything, and what makes it your favorite?
I acting like this is a hard choice, but it's not. It's a song called
Ah,
Imaginarium, and you can look that up.
I looked it up and it brought me to a Wikipedia article for an Imaginarium Science Center in Vegas.
Okay, wow, that had to have just been put up because what? But it's a song by Randall D. Standridge. Uh,
Oh, yep, here it is.
Another thing, one of my favorite composers. Um,
Listen to this
I
very
have a
quietly.
few. I don't really remember their names because I haven't thought about them for a really long time. But I know he's one because he's made a few songs that I've played since middle school.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole concept of this song, because you listen to it, and then you hear him like kind of make he has a like sort of description on it. It makes sense, and in the whole the concept is the song captures the creative process in the entire creative process in a song. And that the four stages being like idea, you know the working process, the doubt, and then the creation of it itself. And playing it, you really get into it, and you're like, wow, like we are one doing we're doing what this song is out to capture, and we're playing a really good song. And I like with really any, when any song does this, but usually like orchestral scores do this, where they have the main theme. You start out with the main theme, and then you have a secondary theme, and then you have a third theme. I don't remember the term for that. What's after secondary? But whatever. And
Tertiary?
then yeah, that's good. I like that. And then at the fourth part of the song, all of those themes come together, and they play in a way that you were like, God, I didn't even think you could just mix them together like that. It's freaking
That's
amazing.
illegal.
Again, like it's just the idea that you are playing a song that is capturing the idea of creativity. So you're being creative while playing a song about being creative, and it just resonated with me so hard.
I
But
have it pulled up right here. Yeah, it says inspired it says this is inspired by the idea of a giant dream factory. And this is coming from the YouTube channel of the guy who made this. And it says the factory turns its wheels, creating ideas and flights of fancy, expelling them into the clouds, creating the occasional imaginary monster, and finally racing to the conclusion with a burst of inspiration.
Yep. Yep. And the shift, like the shift from really cloudy, happy, and creativity is being created, is being going on in your brain to to the doubt monster is really drastic, and it's an amazing transition. And then it goes from it just blew my mind. It blew my mind. And then to see, it's just a journey that a lot of people go through, and not a lot of people have tried to capitalize off of just that idea in particular, and he did it, and he just blew it out of the park.
And also,
Yes,
the quote. I shouldn't call this cinematography because it really is just stock images, but the images are very pretty as well. I like
they're
these.
very pretty.
Yeah,
It, I just like the aesthetic in general.
yeah, it's nice. I'm actually gonna punch this down really quickly. Boom. Cool. All right. Well, that's nice. I played about 3.5 minutes of it, so I know what I'm getting myself into. So that's nice. Um. Where did my things go? Okay. Yeah. Be dead ass honest with me here. How good do you
Uh-huh.
think you were at jazz band, regular band, and marching band?
Okay. Marching band, that is a whole different monster that I was just kind of thrown into. Um, I Marching band. I don't even think I was necessarily bad at it. I just, oh my goodness, I know, no, I think I did pretty good at it. After a while, you learn how to memorize music.
Well, yeah.
You do, and you learn how to memorize where you need to be on the field. And once you do that, like it's pretty much a breeze. So I'd say I'd say I was pretty much like A plus tier at that. Let's turn this into a tier list. I
So,
was A plus tier. I didn't play like a pivot, like any, because you're a freshman, especially at a school as big as the one I was at, with the band as expansive that it was. It A freshman, they're never really gonna leave you a big role like that.
yeah.
So I never played any pivotal roles in that. So I can't really say that I was A plus tier, but I'd say I was pretty good. And if I had kept with it, I probably could have done something great, but
But you didn't.
didn't. But I don't know. Just marching band in general, just it's, it's cool. But when you're outside and you don't got no acoustics, your music is just kind of blowing into the wind, and it's just like, I'm not very passionate about this. I see
Yeah.
how people could be. It's really exhilarating, but
Especially because it's also like a lot of the benefit that other marching bands get is that they have like size on their side to the
mhm,
point where you don't have to blast. It's just the combined existence of all the sound kind of just makes up for that. So it like matters more. And when you had apparently you had a large population at your school. Apparently you had a large band, but I don't know if it's large enough that that would be a contributing factor.
there were. This is the only number I can remember, but I know there were 49 trumpets.
Jesus Christ.
Yes.
I take back what I said then. All right, cool. What about jazz band? How good were you at that?
That's another one where I think I could have gone farther, but we play. I think I was pretty good at jazz band. Like, if there's one thing that I probably could have tried a little harder to do, and that's where we were talking about this the other day, but like the solos and
Oh
creativity,
yeah.
just like just going for it. Just go do some crazy stuff. Stay in the key, but go do some crazy stuff. It'll all work out. Your band, it's just a fluid environment. Y'all are working for each other.
Yeah. And also for the record in jazz, there is like I brought this up when I was talking with my friend Ethan on the podcast. Like there is some
Love that
actual
guy.
yeah, he's great. Honestly, shouts out Ethan if you
He's
hear this.
funny.
He's yeah, it's all the drugs. Um he Jesus fuck. No, I was telling him that there is actually some like what was the word that I said at the time? I said there's like some music theory implications that actually can come with playing outside of the key a little bit.
Hmm.
Uh and even the other day in that sort of jazz-esque song that I made with that sexy saxophone that you said would get us out of the hood.
Oh
Um
yeah, you should
there
have sent that to me so I could put down these bars.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. That's gonna happen after this. No, there. When I was playing the saxophone portion of it, there is a note in there that isn't in key, and I think that's like what makes it sound so good at the part that it's
Yeah,
at. And you may have heard it potentially. If not, I'll show it to you again. But all that's to be
yeah,
said is
please
like, yeah,
do.
stay in your key, but you can also afford to fudge it a little bit because sometimes it makes it sound like cooler.
But that's how you know you're like you really got the idea. If you can throw that, if you can throw those out of key things in the song, and somebody as experienced as me didn't just pick up on it. I think I pick up on it unconsciously and like, oh, that's sexy. But
Yeah,
like where I'm like, oh wow, that's cool that he did that. Like where I don't even notice it, or it's second nature. That's really what you want to do. You can't just do it in like a song. You have to do it with intention.
yeah,
But just the whole idea of jazz is just like cool. Why not wise? I mean, I guess you could associate wise and jazz. I don't know. Every old head jazz player is pretty wise, but it's wild, but like tame at the same time. Like it just it masters that wild but tameness, and I don't think I don't think I fully took advantage of that because again, i- your jazz band, y'all are in sync, y'all are working together. Say you got this this solo, and this thing is maybe supposed to go for like 6 or 7 lines, and you're just like, no, I don't want to do that. Like you think mid concert or show, and you just want to add like 2 or so more bars on that. It it is not a wild thing to expect that your band would pick up on that and be like, okay, we'll just stretch out our chorus for 2 more measures, even if it's impromptu.
yeah,
We'll do that, and it'll work out. And that's something a lot of people don't realize, pick up on, and really take into account. And everybody's so scared when they do things like solo because like it's a big band. Not our jazz band wasn't that big, but it's a band, and there are people you may not know as well, and you're like, I don't want to make myself a fool in here.
yeah. Like
But
I'm not gonna look
you
stupid.
you gotta make yourself look like a fool, and sometimes you don't know. You could just not make yourself a fool. Uh, like I again when the teacher was going through, and she was like, okay, I don't really care what you play as long as you play something, and she just had the band just repeat the chorus for like 20 minutes, and every trumpet just did
Went ham.
something, anything for those lines. And I noticed nobody was going, and I was like, God, screw it. And I just went and I just played any notes in any way and just did it. And I got her seal of approval. And after, she was like, okay, there were a few of you who just didn't play, and I don't know why. Like, just play. Just that's the whole point. Just play.
Yeah,
Jazz is just ugh. If you're not feeling it, you probably shouldn't be there.
yeah, exactly. No, that makes sense. So okay. y- I was gonna ask this question about marching band, but I don't care anymore. Well, I do care, but I know what you're gonna say. What, like, why did you decide to join jazz band in the first place? Like, what about you saw that and you was like, yeah?
Well, it's not that crazy of a
Oh, okay.
story. It really isn't. It was just I at the time I had got my braces. This was my senior year. Got my braces, and I was like, I was not the player I once was. That also humbled me. I had to really retrain myself to play
Yeah.
because the braces pressing up against my lips, and I was bleeding, and it was just like
Ow.
it was such a blow to just not even my ego, just my like motivation. It would really hurt me to play. And I was just like, I can't. And she knew that, Miss Schimberger. She was aware. She was like, "This really sucks." And when I would go audition for things, she would be like, "Yeah, you did good, but let's I could still play all the notes. If I practiced and got comfortable, like I could still perform the same way. It just wasn't as easy
Yeah.
and consistent. But she was just like, let's do this out. Like, let's just place you wherever we need you, like for real, like wherever we need you. If we need you next to these last chair freshmen who are just like kind of not really too motivated about this or passionate about this, we'll just place you next to them, and you can kind of motivate them, or at least just pick up their slack. And I was cool with that. And that's when she had reached out to me and was like, hey, we only got like 3 trumpets in this jazz band. That's just not going to work. So you want to fill in? I was like, sure, why not? It's an experience I don't have. Uh,
Yeah. You're like, screw it. Why not?
it was more stuff. I mean, I was like, we convene every Thursday morning. I was like, it's kind of sucks. I already have morning workouts, so I was like, I don't really want to put something else in my morning. But I was like, you know, a bunch of other kids have like a bunch of extracurriculars. Why shouldn't I? So again, it's not that crazy of a
Fair enough. Yeah.
introduction to it. But once I got in there, I was like, dang, this
Like,
is kind of
go ham.
groovy.
I honestly thought you were gonna say like I was forced in there, which I guess it's like almost that you weren't really forced. They were kind of like you go in there, and then you were like, okay,
Yeah, she asked me a few times. I'm like, nah. And I was like, why not?
yeah,
Why not? That's life, just a bunch of experiences.
yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Um, what? Okay. Um, I was gonna ask what makes marching band different from regular band, but I know. So what makes
Mm.
jazz band different from regular band? Like, what new skills do you have to like know and understand other than the
Uh,
soloing?
yeah. Other than that, you're operating. You know, normal band. It can be pretty straightforward. You just play what's on the paper,
Yeah.
and you do that right. It's pretty good. There's some wiggle room. Sometimes your conductor will be like, "Hey, let's change this. Let's change that." And see how if I like that better. Oh, I like that better. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
That can happen, but for the most part, you're just playing a song, and that was kind of the kind of that was kind of the bad thing, because if you didn't really get a say in what songs you played, you just had to hope that you liked the song. And there were a few songs where I was just like, I don't like the song. I'm not the only one who's just not motivated enough to play this. Yuck. But you just play it. But and jazz band, again, it is just a fluid. It's just a fluid environment. You're doing whatever you want
Like a lot of
within
experimentation,
reason.
kind of.
A lot of, and you get a lot of different things. Like we had a girl, her name was like Natalie or something, I think, and she came in. We was playing a song. Don't remember the names, like Stormy something. Uh, and she was like, "I'm gonna sing," and we were like, "Cool."
Yeah, sure.
And
Why not?
she sang. She sang her butt off, and we worked to amplify her singing, and it worked, and it was beautiful. And we also had a bassist and a pianist. We had a few pianists in normal band, but I can only remember one song, to be quite honest with you. But it was jazz isn't just trumpets and trombones and bari saxes and whatnot. It's any instrument you really want. We had one girl play the flute,
Yeah, no, that makes
and I
sense.
think that was for the Pink Panther. That was sick. Um, but no, that it's again, it's just a very wild environment that you can do whatever you want with it, as long as you do it and you like what you're doing.
Yeah.
And also, there's just a lot of culture in it too.
Oh yeah, like my estimation when I would look at these two things is the difference between regular band and jazz band. The biggest core thing to me is that regular band you are going to be playing Christmas tunes, you are going to be playing epic ass something or others, and you're going to be playing orchestral type something or others. And with jazz band,
Yeah,
you're kind of just like I'm gonna get funky with it. and then you get funky with
Yeah,
it.
yeah. A lot of times you gotta accept a normal band. You're just gonna be playing a bunch of songs that are made by old white men. But in jazz band, you playing some southern music. A lot of this music comes from Louisiana
Yeah.
and Mississippi and Georgia and whatnot. And even some instances we got Cuban
Ooh.
music. Like those, man, Cubans, they know how to get down, man. Their jazz is so crazy and it's so good and so fun. I like after this I'm listening to the song that I'm referring to. It's like Habana Cabana, something like that.
Hmm.
It was a great song.
Yeah.
But you're just there's a lot of culture and it's so different. It's so wild and ever changing. That's my answer.
Nice. That's a good answer. How many people did you actually have in your group? Because I'm thinking about in my group, I swear to God, we had like 6 people at most. And it was like 2 people on the saxophones, 1 person on the clarinet, 2 maybe people on the brass, and like a drummer. And I swear to God, that was all that they had.
I want to say we had 4 trumpets. I know that for a fact. One bassist, one pianist, uh, at least 2 alto sax, and then one bari sax. Um, 2 trombones, maybe 3. I'm pretty sure 3. And I think that was it. So I can't do that math in my head, but that's my answer.
I forgot the numbers, but I'm going to assume it rounds out to like 12 people, probably.
12, 14 maybe.
Give or take. Yeah. Okay. Damn.
I'm gonna add the extra 2 just in case there's an instrument.
Yeah, just to be safe. Yeah. This is making me really realize how much of a different experience you had for your band compared to me, because I think I've made this joke. It's not a joke. Why did I make it's not a joke. It's not funny. My high school is the lowest funded high school in the entire district. And I'm 22, so I don't go to that high school anymore, obviously, but like they are the lowest funded high school in the entire district, and I think that explains why everything is the way that it is, why we only had 6 people in these things, why extracurricular activity type teachers had to sometimes pay for their own stuff. I was in the debate club, and the debate teacher had to do stuff to raise money so we could go to competitions and things. And you know what? We still got second in state, I think, if I remember correctly.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But all that's to be said is like you guys clearly had a lot more money funded into your school, so you're like, we have
Oh yeah,
14
no.
people.
I'm obviously we were definitely on the opposite side of that spectrum. Like I don't think people really know how much piccolo trumpets cost, but they were just like, Alec, we want you to play this, so we're gonna go get this instrument. And not a lot of not I just typed in piccolo and did not get the trumpet. Uh so that's like a $5,000 instrument right there. And not no like I think about the first high school I went to, there is no way on this planet that they would be able to acquire that without some crazy favors.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were very much. I went to school with the kids of politicians.
What
Uh,
the hell?
the uh, the the owner of some restaurant franchise had twins, and they were in my school district.
Jesus
I want to say
Christ.
Panera because St. Louis Bread Co.
I
Panera.
don't know. We'll talk about that later.
It's a Panera St. Louis Bread Co. Man, represent.
I was going to say I've never been to St. Louis. That's not true. I don't. What? Where was I?
If you've been to a Panera, you've been to St. Louis. That's literally law.
Have I been to a Panera? I don't think I have. I think I've been to a Neaters.
I have no clue what that
It
is.
sounds like a poor person's Panera. And I got a sandwich from them, and it was not very good.
That's teetering on a slur.
Yeah, I think I might have censored that. The fact that I just said that. But
no,
St. Louis Bread Company.
No,
Show it to me next time I'm over there.
I hope you never have to come. No, I'm kidding. Yo, you come down here, man.
I hope I never have to go down there. I'll go down there of my own volition to see my friends. Because you certainly have more interesting things you could show me than what I have down here.
There are definitely interesting things. But like,
wow, give up on that fast.
Nothing interesting enough to want to keep me strapped here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think even if you do have interesting things there that are like notably worthy, it also like just sucks So the
Yeah,
suckiness
St. Louis
offsets
is
all that.
famous. It's famous. It's a famous city, but it's famous for some of the worst reasons.
Yeah.
Like most people are like Arch. All right, crime, and gooey butter cookies, but crime. Like, yeah, we got a
There's a
few
food
like.
podcast that I listen to where they crap all over the way that St. Louis does things. Like the way that they do their pizza is garbage. The way they do pizza bagels is weird. The way that there's no prominent athletes that want to live there because they suck. And it's like, and you're like, we're famous for a couple of things, but they're not great. Like we're like, hey, we're number one in crime. It's like, well, they can't all be winners.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned the $5,000 piccolo trumpet. I'm obviously not going to assume that you paid for one of those because, like you said, the school got it for
Oh
you.
no, they were just like, Alec, we're gonna have you
Yeah,
use
they were
this.
like,
And I was
Alec,
like,
they
okay.
were like, here you go. That's cool. But what is an overly expensive thing that you, or I guess your family, has paid for to further the success of this hobby that you did, that if looked out by somebody like me or somebody who listens to this, they're like, that's a lot of money.
Well, I mean, other than the trumpets that I did actually pay for,
Okay.
it was a flugelhorn. That's what it
Oh,
was.
hell no.
It's a flugelhorn. I loved that thing. It was like a trumpet and a French horn. Like,
We
yo,
don't know how they had the technology to combine the two, but they did it.
they did it. It was amazing. But no, a fun story. I didn't pay for the trumpet because what? That's a lot of money. But my junior year, my dad saw, like, he was like, this kid's like actually might go places with this. And he worked with my instructors to kind of surprise me. And the one thing I had always wanted, like, that would make me seem like I was a more professional, was a silver trumpet.
Yeah,
I know.
what is the deal with
I
silver trumpets? Why?
don't think there's probably not a difference between them. I never went out of my way to. Let's look.
Yeah, let's look it up really quickly. Difference between a silver and brass trumpet. Let's. I can't type today.
I think the silver was a little brighter, and it allowed
Yeah.
me to like reach some higher notes easier. But I think the brass was they both did their things, and I would alternate between them. But
Yeah.
no, he worked with them, and he bought that for me. And I went in there one day with trying to eat my tater tots because obviously I couldn't eat at the freaking in the room because can't bring food in there. So I'm over there scarfing down my tater tots, and my teacher runs out and she's like, "Hey, where are your where are your mouthpieces?" I was like, "Well, they should be. Where are my mouthpieces?" And I'm like, "What? How does this keep happening to me?" Like, they
What?
would be in my trumpet and then they'd just be gone the next day, and I'd be like, "Okay, so somebody's playing a joke on me." So I'm like, "Okay." She's like, "Come in the office," and I walk in there, and my dad walks out. I'm like, "What
The
is this
heck?
intervention again? I stopped with the drugs, I swear." And he walks out, and he has this big case, and it's it's like leather, and in that case, it was the prettiest trumpet I had ever seen. No offense, Guinevere. That's the name of my brass trumpet,
Oh,
the
okay. I
one
was
that
like,
I
who the
had
hell are
my
you
father
talking to
use.
named Guinevere? What the?
I was like, "Your name is Candace," because candy ice. It was silver, and it came with two more mouthpieces. So I had four that all served different purposes.
That all also miraculously would go missing.
Yeah, and sometimes get stuck in the trumpet. That's fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Uh, but no, he gave that to me. He's like, I see you're going places, and I give you this. And I was like, "Oh my God, Father, I love you so much." And I used that one. I used the brass one for marching and outside band stuff, but for performances and stuff, I was like, people gotta see this. This thing is sexy.
Yeah.
So that was about $3,500.
Oh my god.
Just the trumpet itself was 300 or 3,500. Everything else probably uh, equated to maybe another 400 more dollars.
Yeah, fair enough. So teetering on 4K.
Yeah, but I don't, you know, if you look in and you see like, oh, this person already had a trumpet, why did they need to buy another one? Then you'd be like that. But if people were to see how much I'm going to buy on other instruments in general, that would probably equal out to like 10 grand.
Yeah, probably
I
give or
got lucky
take.
with the guitar. I don't know how much guitars normally cost. I got this one for like 250, 225, I think.
I don't know. I mean, if you listen to the episode with me and my friend Ethan, he spent like 900 on his.
So, well,
So
there's
I
that. I
think
do
honestly,
remember that
I think
conversation.
even to never mind. I don't know. I don't think I've paid anything more than $120 on a guitar. And that's because I knew I've been unable to commit to it for long enough to get into it because I am dumb. And that's fine.
We'll do it together.
Yeah, that probably makes sense, honestly. I would just have to find a space to put it because I don't know if you know this, my room is a goddamn mess all the time and there's too much stuff in here. I have to do some cleaning out, but I don't like have time to because I'm doing things like this all the time.
That and you don't got the space. Like
Yeah, exactly. I don't
I,
have the physical space in my room to figure this out, to figure out where to put this.
as long as you have enough space for me.
You, you
I'll sit in the dresser, I swear to
I
God.
don't what Yeah, okay. Okay.
It was a fun fact today. I learned I'm 5'7.5".
Nice. You probably shouldn't have mentioned that on the internet cuz now you're going to get clowned hellas.
I know, but it's better than being clowned for being 5'6.5".
Fair enough. All right, cool. All right. What are your
That's some
favorite
reps.
memories from all walks of band at all?
Oh, there's a few. Uh, Back to Imaginarium. Uh, Once that was all well rounded, it was a fun song. There, you'll have a bunch of like I classify them as delinquents in the band who are just like there to joke around.
Yeah.
But you could tell that this song was like so good that everybody loved it. And everybody like actually tried. Like this was a song that like nobody was afraid of just playing on their own time, even if it wasn't for practicing purposes.
Yeah.
So, once everybody got that dealt with, um, playing that on the stage for the last time in the room with perfect acoustics and the sounds bouncing back in your face, you're just like, this is beautiful. And just, it was just peak. It was peak everything. Like, I was very emotional for it. And it was great. And I think the audience liked it a lot. And we were just like, oh, we love this. We love this song, and we're sad to see it go. There was just a lot of emotions in general around the song
Yeah,
and
I
the
hear you.
time that we were playing it in,
Yeah.
but it was that was good. Um, Another one when I graduated, like my last concert with the band as a whole before I graduated, that was we played another really interesting song that I completely forgot the name to, but I know I loved it because it's one thing about those songs. Like you forget the name, but you remember how you felt when you played it for the last time.
Yeah.
And once I do a bit more research, looking through like old band folders and whatnot, I'll find it. I'm sure.
Yeah,
But
I can believe it.
playing that last song and then going up holding those flowers for my band instructors and giving that little speech that I gave, that was definitely fun.
That's
And
nice.
for the last memory, I'm gonna shove them down your throat.
I'll never mind.
Um, I didn't talk about this, but the all-state competitions, if you even call it that, I guess it was a competition. We were ranked and whatnot. But the whole concept is an approved song by the association, and you play it in front of a judge. They rank you, and if you win that, then you go to the next stage. And the next stage was like nationals, whatnot. After just like the preliminary stuff, I guess.
Well, yeah.
But I had got this solo, and in that solo, it was me and a pianist. it was a solo because the pianist was just there to back me up, keep me on. But you would get this, and it was you. As you would go as far as you would take yourself. And I practiced, and there was one part of the song that I don't remember what it was called, what the specific term for it is, but it's a slow of notes, ascension of notes, and then you go down really fast. And then I don't remember what it's called. I'm gonna show you later. And if anybody's curious about what I'm talking about, you reach out to Dylan, and we'll have it figured out.
Yeah, because
But
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Like I'm trying to picture it in
I
my
don't
head,
I
and
don't
I'm like,
really.
it doesn't make sense.
It happened years ago, so my ADHD is working in full effect to stop me from remembering what it's called.
You fair?
But it was something foreign to me. I had never encountered anything like this in my days of playing any instrument. And I was like, I am not even good at playing really fast, so I don't know if I could do this. And I practiced, and I probably did it good once throughout all of my practicing. And come the day of this competition, because you travel to this high school, and then you sit around. I was there for at least 8 hours because I was in so many different like groups
Yeah.
that and they were all scheduled throughout the day. I was like, okay, so this is obviously not something I will just come to and leave right after one thing. I'm gonna be here all day. But I went in there and I played, and I perfected that. I did it I played that so perfect. And these judges, they were ruthless, man. Very ruthless. Like, you could do something very minor and you wouldn't get that like number one rating, which was exemplary is what they called it. That word, it makes me tingle today. But I did it, and the moment I'm specifically referring to, it wasn't even how I played that song perfectly. It was sitting in the lunchroom of that school with all these band people around, and looking at my phone to see, God, did they judge it? Did they post it? They
Yeah. Did they
do
did they,
this,
did
do
they,
that?
did they do the postings?
It's just the most tense moment and that you could ever think of in your life. Everyone is just in there, just like, we really want to do this. We really want to get a good ranking on this. And I'm looking for my name, and I see the first thing I did, which was my solo. 1. You got a 1 rating, exemplary. Then I look
Success.
down. My quartet, 1. Okay.
All right.
Not the quartet, my trumpet trio.
Trio.
There
Yeah.
we go. Trio, 1. I actually got a 2 on my quartet, but those dudes didn't. They weren't. I did get a 1 on that. That was a 1. Uh, our the ensemble itself, they got a 1. The brass ensemble, 1.
Dang.
And I was just like, yo, this is crazy. And I was absolutely losing my mind, and it bumped my ego up again because everybody else was like 2, 2, 3, 4. I was like, 1, 1. I got 4 ones. And I'm just sitting there like, and my family is there, and then we're just jumping around, just acting stupid in this cafeteria in a school I don't go to. And it's a happiness you can't explain. Just like these judges gave you the hardest thing to get, because they're very stingy about those ones, and I got all 4 of them. And that would mean I would go to the next step, which means I would get a whole new experience, that being going out of the state and playing for a new set of stingy judges. But it was amazing, and my whole family supported me, and they all traveled out with me, and I went out there with friends who also got ones on their respective pieces, and I'm just like, it was surreal, the experience.
Yeah. It's like you said, it's an experience that you cannot describe. You can only understand the experience that somebody had if you've been in a similar situation again, in the context of a high school competition, something or other. It's like sitting in the lunchroom of a high school that you don't go to, that's probably 15 miles away from where you are, or where you normally go, or whatever. And knowing that you've put all this time and this dedication into doing this thing, and then knowing that you have scored the highest possible, or at the very least, a lot higher than you were expecting to get, and whatever.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah, and the whole time you're tense. You're like, "Is the piano tuned? Am I tuned right? Uh, uh, well, do these judges even like me? Why is this girl out here in a sobbing? What is going on? It just the atmosphere is so tense and it's so grim with like starting out, and then you know your dreams come true, and then it just shines a light all over all the negative stuff that was happening. It's like,
yeah, it
okay,
just clears
that's
out
cool.
all of the uncomfortable feeling of not knowing what's going to happen.
And you get an ego boost. That
Exactly.
was definitely a plus. Just like, you guys suck. No, you. And I got hit on that day for like the first time in a long
And
time.
here
I was like,
you are, still single. I
dang, just threw crazy
no,
shade.
this is an opportunity for you to be better.
Yeah, think like Imaginarium. And it starts with an idea in that little cloud factory of ours.
Yeah, nice. Uh, how do you think that your school or your district or your city or however they compare your groups to other groups, how do you guys think, or how do you think your group that you were a part of ranks compared to other districts or other cities that you saw at these competitions?
Oh, you number one.
Okay, cool. Well,
It
I guess that's referenced by the ones that you got. You're like, we're better than them.
there weren't. We were the only school in our district,
Oh,
so we only had to go off by other districts.
oh,
And we
interesting.
would, there would sometimes be like a crossover event kind of thing,
Yeah.
but we weren't, there wasn't normally ever us crossing paths. But we won. I think we're number one. Purely, it wasn't even a skill thing. Purely because of the amount of resources that we had.
Yeah, that was immediately what I was thinking. And that's not to shit on how good your team is or was, but I think that
Yeah,
definitely is a big part of it.
we had some. I described them as heavy hitters. Like, we had some people who are they stick with it. They are going places, and I think I could have been part of that. I was definitely seen as a hard hitter
Yeah.
for my instructors, but um, we had our aces in the hole and people who really carried us, and that was good. But a lot of it was just we were pretty good, but we had so many resources to our we even had a dude like for the brass ensemble. We played a song that was composed by this really famous dude. I don't remember his name, unfortunately. I call him really famous and I don't remember their names. But he composed a song that pretty much everyone knows. Um, and he actually took another song and repurposed it for brass ensemble to play just for us.
Oh.
And not only did he do that, one of the, and it was another just a great experience. He's your average like wacky musician. Like I want to I liken him to a person who's not a musician, but I liken him to like someone like Robin Williams, and where he's just an odd dude, but his madness has a purpose.
Yeah.
And he also taught me some valuable lessons, but he actually ended up coming in and teaching us how to play this song that he purposely like created or composed for us. And he taught, and the lesson he taught me was just like, have you gotta have fun with it. You gotta have fun with everything you do, because if you're not having fun, then you're not putting your all into it. And part of having fun with it is putting a spin on it. That's all he was doing. He was like, yeah, I made this song for y'all, but I know, it's what you have on the sheet is what you're gonna play, but I'm gonna just say, scratch this, change this. He would sit there and he would just change the song and completely go off the rails just to have more fun with what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was having fun the whole time, and I admired that about him.
Damn. That's Jesus.
He would that dude was the madman. Like total. What is that dude's name? The dude who played Eggman in the Sonic movie. I forgot his name.
Oh, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, total Jim Carrey, like absolutely crazy. But there's a method to his madness, and it paid off.
Damn, yeah. I was gonna say the mark of any good musician is number one, a great ear and a willingness to experiment, and number two, mental illness. I think that's
Oh
a big.
yeah,
I think that's a big part of it.
he was very kooky.
But
So yeah,
that's cool. That's cool. I wonder how they would do if they didn't have all the funding that they did. That's in an alternate universe. It's whatever. That's. I mean, I guess the last question that I have is, what tips do you have for people who wanted to learn how to play brass at all?
Practice, practice until your fingers bleed. You wanna, the teacher I rave about, Schenberger. She she always would see. She could see anything in everyone. She saw potential in everyone, and she worked to not to cater to your feelings, but because that would get you nowhere. She was like, You need to do this to get better," and she instilled that in me. And I the I know I could have gone way better had I just afforded 8 more hours a day to doing this.
Yeah,
Like that sounds like a lot, but like you don't got to be playing the whole time. Just sitting there and thinking and
understanding.
trying to understand. Like if there's nothing impossible. Like there are a few musicians who make the impossible real, but like generally there is nothing that like a casual player cannot accomplish if they just put their mind to it. If you just sit there, I say 8 hours. You don't need to do that much, but
Dedicate more
an
time than you
hour,
think you need.
even 15 minutes. Even if you practice 15 minutes a day, you would be 15 minutes over some other person. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Some
over
other
the other
casual
people.
Joe. And if you did that, you're when you play in your group, you're gonna see the progress. It will be immediate. It will.
Yeah, and you're also gonna see the improvements over what you would have been if you like. You're gonna notice immediate improvement from those extra 15 minutes compared to yourself if you didn't do them.
Yeah, you people a lot of people are the only time they play their instrument is when they're in their group. No, don't do that.
Yeah,
You are really only dragging you're really only dragging your team down. That's because that's what you all are, a team. If you afford 1 or 2 hours, you're always gonna go into those sessions prepared, and the only critiques you're gonna have from your instructor or from your teammates aren't gonna be you just didn't do this right, are gonna be like maybe you should try doing this. Maybe if you put a mute in your trumpet right there or any instrument, it'll sound a little better. It'll allow you to have and your team to have more fun with what you're doing.
yeah,
Just
and
an hour and a half a day. Just go at it. Like there's nothing is stopping you but yourself. That kind of thing.
yeah, exactly. No, that makes sense.
You can literally do whatever you want
Yeah,
by just practicing,
absolutely, that makes sense.
and which is easier said than done. But I mean,
It's easier
you
said
do
than
it.
done, but it gets easier the more you do it. The hardest part of practicing an hour and a half a day is actually like getting the courage to go and actually start doing the thing, and then once you get going, then you're fine. Most of the time.
Yep. And
So
don't compare yourself to other people. That
yeah,
too. I think with anything you shouldn't do that, but specifically this because there's a lot of people to compare yourself to.
yeah, like Alec.
Eh.
Okay. The last question, and I think I usually end off every one of these with this. Is there any other details or pieces of information or just like anything at all that you wanted to bring up that maybe you didn't, or anything that you want to bring up now that just didn't have a space to come up an hour ago?
Eh, well, there's one thing. Where in regards to like the financial side of things, because band it is very expensive. Well, it can be from
Yeah,
like an outside perspective. When you're going into it, you're like, "Oh, I gotta drop 500 to 1,000 on an instrument, bass line, just like any bass line instrument, and then I gotta get mouthpieces, and then I gotta get all these extra attachments, and I want to say there's always an easier, a more inexpensive way to go about things. You don't just go on Amazon and be like, I'm gonna buy this. That's probably the worst place you could go.
truly,
Not
yes.
worse, but you're gonna find what you're looking for on Amazon, yes, but there are people on eBay who are getting rid of instruments of all kinds for free just because they're moving or they just don't have the space or whatnot. And you can look into renting a lot of music places like Guitar Center, uh, the music place. I think that's what it's called.
Never heard of it. I don't know.
Literally,
I only know of
uh,
Guitar Center.
yeah, they have like a renting service, and a lot of people learn differently. Like I learn so much better in a space where it's like in a one-on-one space. Um, so when I've actually, because I don't think I told you this, I actually got tutored on piano my freshman year. I had a tutor. Dude was so funny. Uh, and I tutored with him for like a month, and I regret not doing more because I think that would have helped me. But yeah, though the instructors, they have instructors that you can go to, and that will one-on-one with you. They'll give you like these assignments, and I think I work best in that kind of environment instead of just being left to my own devices.
Yeah, having something
I have
focused.
I have yeah, I have a particular admiration for people who just learn stuff, just or
Just
it's
on a
like I want to
whim.
do this and just do it, or people who are like, I see, my family friend plays the freaking bassoon. I want to learn how to play that. And just goes out and does it. Like I have a particular love for those people. Learning without music theory, that is a crazy thing to me because I could never. Um, but music, it's whatever you want it to be. You don't gotta you can tackle it from any you know direction you want. It could be you don't have to learn music theory to play the instrument, and you don't have to spend crazy amounts of money to get that instrument to start playing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I can say from my personal experience that I don't even think the flute that I have. Granted, it's a flute. It doesn't really. I don't know if that really counts. But like, depending on the instrument you're getting into, there's also just opportunities to just get things that just don't cost very much at a baseline. Like
Hmm.
it's possible, not likely, especially if you're working anything within the brass territory. That shit is rough. Um,
Yeah.
but you can make something work. Yeah, just don't go to Amazon. Amazon's good for like a couple of things. Which number one is convenience. Two is like its ability to like open your exposure to miscellaneous things. Don't buy an instrument off of Amazon. No pretext.
Yes.
Just don't do that.
You don't even
Um,
have like with brass instruments in general. You don't have to get a metal instrument. There are plastic instruments. Now they will sound very different. I preface that it will sound very different, but you can work with anything you got.
yeah.
This dude had this blue. No, it was purple. He had this purple trombone. It was purple plastic trombone. I was like, that is the most crazy thing I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, I want to get like a colored trumpet, but that was just another instrument I did not want to add to my repertoire of instruments.
You're like if I ever get a purple trombone, please shoot me. Seems
But
pretty silly.
they also work as practice instruments too. Like,
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, like that's a good place to start if you at least want to figure out like if you're less focused about the actual tone of your sound per se, and you're more focused on like do I like the feeling of playing the instrument and trying to figure out like how to press the keys or the tabs or whatever the hell they're
yeah,
called for trumpets. It's like you just do that to figure out the fundamental. If you like the fundamental pieces of playing something, or if you want to figure out if you like it, And then you can figure out the remaining details once you have enough of a drive and a want to spring for the next best thing, I guess.
Yeah, and those things, those plastic instruments, they don't have to just be practice instruments. They can operate as their own kind of they have their own pitch. They have like a weird like really flat pitch because obviously it's trumpet, but it makes it richer in a way, and an environment that you want it to be in, it will perform perfectly. And they're only like $200. Like I don't see you spending more than $200 on these things.
Truly, yeah. Like it's pretty easy to find stuff like that under that price point. So yeah, that's the next best piece of advice is figure out where to find a piece of training equipment if you are not confident enough in yourself to spring for something better at the start. And that's not a bad thing. Having a lack of confidence in that regard is not a bad thing. Because, are you really going to drop $500 on something and then realize you don't like it? Like, that's smart to not be confident in yourself and go buy a plastic version of it instead. Or something. Anything that just enables you to learn how to do things that benefits you and doesn't take away from you more than you would want, you're fine. So, but that's a wrap, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like, that's everything. So I want to thank you so much for being on here, because truly, as long as I've known you, I didn't know that you were this passionate about learning about band stuff in general. A part of me thinks that it might have something to do with the association of it that you have, or the association with it that you have that you portrayed to people in relation to another person. But it was very interesting getting to learn all of this information. This is not the time.
I was just gonna giggle.
Yeah, no, it's a funny giggle. So yeah, no, it was very interesting. It was a very enjoyable talk. I learned a lot here, and much like with other things, I don't think there's anything I can do with it, but it was an enjoyable experience, and that's good enough for me. So, do you? I can already tell you that I'm going to put that song in the description because I think it's funny. Or not funny. I think it's nice. I think it deserves to go in there. But is there anything that you want to like plug? I know you don't like exist on social media in that regard, so it wouldn't really be for yourself, but I don't know if there's anything you want to plug.
I mean, obviously check out DJ Cereal Sauce live on all musical platforms.
You stole my plug. That's my thing.
LOL. If you don't know, I exist very much around DJ Cereal Sauce. So if
you can call me by my name.
I forgot. I'm just saying DJ Cereal Sauce in general, because like a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people aren't gonna come here just like knowing your name.
Oh no, that makes sense. But that's why I say my name at the very beginning. It doesn't matter. Keep going. I'm sorry.
Whatever. Whatever. But I exist very much around Dylan, and if you see the name Ill Lovelace, say hi. I'm like, me and Dylan just pop in this like Twitch streams all the time.
We just happen to be in the same Twitch streams a lot. Yeah, it just happens.
And yeah, sometimes you'll hear me playing with him. Sometimes you won't. Sometimes I'll be modding because I'm crazy.
And occasionally, if you watch a video, you'll see him saying, they play in Tyler the Creator, and then he gets speared in the neck in Overwatch.
Yeah. All right. On to our next segment, though. Seven foods that oddly taste like cum.
You cannot come onto my podcast and do that. Alex said that I'm on all musical platforms, but on top of that, I'm on like a lot of other platforms under the same name. I mentioned it before. If you search up DJ Cereal Sauce, you'll find it. If you can't find it, you can type underscores between it. And if you can't find it there, I probably don't exist on that platform, but I'm on Apple Music, I'm on Spotify, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitch, I'm on YouTube in a couple different places. That I'm on Instagram, but that's like my personal stuff, and I don't know if anybody cares to like see that because I'm just posting clips from this podcast on there. So go check those things out. And go buy a trumpet.